So again, you all read my memo. I assume that's why you're here. And we're asking one person from each team to talk for no more than 2 minutes on the two specific prompts I gave. When we get through that, then we'll, for 5 or 10 minutes, just kind of have a general conversation about the in-service program, and I'll have at least one more question to just throw out to the group. And then after that, we'll just spend a few minutes talking about finishing up the school, reopening plans, and tell you about my attempts to recruit the Newburgh people to come in and interact with us. I did realize this at the beginning of the course, but it really hit me full force when July rolls around. Any administrator who is still having good relationship with his or her family has promised that they will not check email during the month of July, the month that they're supposed to be off duty, right? So I've had to do by hook and by crook to get a hold of my friends in Newburgh, and asking, pleading, reminding that they agreed long ago to help us out. So anyway, more on that after we get through the first part. So I think we have a quorum here, and hopefully we'll have at least one person from each team. And let's see, why don't we start with the middle schools? And who's here representing Mountain View? Mountain View's not here. Wow, maybe I should go to Las Vegas. It's like on the first roll, I hit the jackpot, huh? Okay, how about Chehalem Valley?
We are here.
All right, so who's speaking for Chehalem Valley?
I am. My name is Ben Patterson. As
all right.
you can see, I've typed my name correctly now.
Good.
And I'm the acting principal at Chehalem Valley Middle School. I'm joined by two of my team members here. Jennifer Norwood is our assistant principal, and Jeremy Vernon is our dean of students. As far as the things that you asked for, one highlight for us, we talked about it in a team meeting we had a little while ago today, has been the way we've been able to collaborate and work together. It's been a pretty low stress, almost fun experience. I've actually enjoyed getting to know these folks, and we've had some great conversations that didn't have much to do with this class, which is kind of, not that I don't enjoy the class, I like the class, but it's also good to know people on a personal level as well. A difficulty that we've faced, or a challenge that we're overcoming, is that we're all used to doing the work and doing it well. And so trusting people that we don't know very well to do the work and to do it well has been a challenge for us. But like I said, we're handling that really well. So I'm impressed with the folks in our group. And then finally, the thing about which we're most proud is just a little thing, but I think it speaks to what we are prioritizing as a staff, and that is at the beginning of our in-service, we're going to do some coffee and donuts, and at the end, we're going to have some face-to-face interactions with each member of our staff, and we wanted to have some personal connections with folks, because in our simulation, both Jen and I are brand new to the building, and we need to connect with the people that we're going to work with, especially centered around an in-service that has to do with something so deeply personal as ethics and the framework of ethics. So that's kind of where we are.
Very good, Ben. Thank you. Appreciate that. Someone from Mountain View here?
I'm here. This is Deanna. I'm here.
Okay, very good. You're up. Are you speaking for your team, Deanna?
I'm not sure. I was just jumping in right this second. So I have no idea what we're discussing at this moment.
Did your team not pick a representative to address the prompts tonight?
I don't believe we did, but I can
Okay.
look at them and answer them, I'm sure.
Well, you can, don't worry about that right now. We'll move on and you'll kind of get the gist of things and then you can address it later. So let's go to the elementary schools now, and we'll start with our friends out at Ewing Young.
That's me.
Okay, go ahead, Angie.
Hi, I'm Angie George Pendleton, and I've been flipping through. I could see 3 of my members from my team here tonight. We have Lisa and Casey and Claire are all on. And we're Ewing Young Elementary. What we found the highlight of the development process was the fact that we got to see people. I think we're so used to in our program, you know, just like Ben was just saying, we're working on our own, we're doing all this stuff, we're getting it done, we're doing things on our own and trying to do our best. But actually working as a team and seeing people and having a conversation was really fun. And being able to do that several times so far. And I really look forward to our Zooms, our Google Meets, so we can talk. And I think everybody's kind of feeling the same way, that it's just really nice to work with each other, see our faces, and have the conversations and for real. I'm putting that in quotation marks because we're still on a screen. And then one of the things we really liked about our plan was the fact that the big thing was that we all came together and did each of our pieces, and we're really happy with each other's pieces, that we were able to trust each other in the process to do what we were needing to do. And when you look at our plan, I feel like it just has this very, and I think you said this in your comments too, that it has a cohesive feel. It just feels like even though we talked about it, we all went into our separate little groups together to plan it, but it still feels like such a great plan that makes sense and would honestly be fun to attend.
Thank you, Angie. I'm going to hold my comments. I have lots, but you've already heard a lot from me, so we'll hear from one another tonight. Let's see, how about Dundee?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kayla Bladen. I'm the representative from Dundee. At Dundee, I'm the assistant principal. So just kind of going back to what Angie said, I really feel like one highlight is having the sense of community and being able to see people in a class has been really nice, even though, you know, one challenge is we are all on summer break. We just finished school and it is kind of difficult sometimes to find time to Zoom with each other. But that's been a highlight, is being able to Zoom. After looking back at our plan, I was thinking about one of the major highlights was that we can really put the practice of ethical perspectives of care into action, and really thinking about how a lot of us in the group were talking, you know, teachers, of course, about how care is like our primary like ethic that we operate from. And we all agreed too that our in-service would be something that we would have at the beginning of the year, but we would continue to revisit throughout the year. So that was our main highlight, is it wouldn't just be just this one day that we have and then kind of move on from. It would be something that our school would come back to revisit. And then thinking about just moving forward from there, because our group couldn't really think about exactly a difficulty. But one thing that we were thinking about as we look forward would be, okay, we thought about taking the year into account and then moving into maybe like our next in service would be how we would help the families and kids feel safe and how we would take them into account.
Very good. Thank you. How about Crater?
Hello, we are here. My teammates Luan and I think I saw Rebecca are also on. So kind of along the same trends, we met today via Google Meet, and I think our collaboration and the opportunity to collaborate was definitely our highlight. We started in Slack right away. We definitely utilized like Doc editing and comments really well, where we would I felt like that was kind of our conversation when we weren't on Google Meets, which was a new norm, I guess. But we also just have, I think, a great group of individuals that bring different expertise with technology and different roles. And so it was just really nice. I think we kind of talked about how sometimes we live in our spaces and our roles. And so if you're a classroom teacher, you're a TOSA, you're living in that role. And so to get a group of individuals who have different perspectives and then to create this plan, I think was a highlight for us. And then we talked today, actually, Luan was going to hop on and talk about what we are most proud of, and we're going to tag team this.
Yeah, so we are very proud of our plan, and some particular areas are part of it. We have a plan for staff to do empathy interviews with parents. So there was going to be a training for that to ask the parents how they're doing, what are their hopes and dreams, what's going well, what do they want to accomplish this year for their child. So as regard to the the social emotional learning piece, and also in our PD plan we have kind of universal design for learning in there. So we have several places where staff can show their learning through writing, through a slide or through a handout, and through video recording on Flipgrid. So we have a lot of means for staff to show their thinking and to learn.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great. Let's do Edwards.
That would be me. So our team actually meets on Monday, and we met before I saw all the prompts. So I'm kind of going off what I know, but Scott O'Connor is on here. And if there's something I'm missing, hop on and let me know. So some highlights that our team, I feel like we did really well this time, is we were able to split up the work. I heard somebody was saying that we often want to do all the work ourselves and we don't trust other people to do it, but I feel like our team did that really well. We split it into a lot of small pieces and we got it done quickly and we got it done well. And I was really impressed that we were able to do that. And then a highlight from our PD plan, I really liked the activity that we did. We all came up with scenarios similar to what was in the book so that our teachers could use those scenarios and look at them with ethical perspectives. And so we all came up with these amazing scenarios that just were pretty awesome to go and look through. I think a struggle that we had the last time that we've kind of already talked about and figured out was we need to remember to meet one more time before an assignment, like a few days before the assignment is due, to kind of finalize it and put a finishing touch on it, and make sure that all the boxes are checked in an assignment. And so we talked about that during our last meeting. So for the next one, we have a plan to go forward and be a little more cohesive in our group. But if I missed anything, Scott, let me know.
That sounds great. Thank you, Rachel. Let's see. How about Maple Rush?
Hey, that's us. Hi guys, I'm Dan. Well, in my role at Maple Rush, I'm the principal. Drew the short straw there. And I think Shelly Campos is on here with us, and Marcy Doyle, I think, are the only other two people I see from our team. Okay. And ladies, if I forget something, feel free to jump in. So I'm gonna actually start with our difficulty, because actually our difficulty is kind of our highlight as well. Trying to do a program with people you don't know, with people all over the state that you can't get in person with, right? Was kind of a difficulty. Everybody's got their own schedules. Some people are still in school. Other people have already started their summer break. And so just being able to work together was the difficulty. But I really have to commend our team, because we're a bunch of all-stars. And we had somebody flying in from Saudi Arabia. We had one of our teammates having a baby, like literally having a baby. And so just the way we communicated, everybody was there. It's like we all came together for the collective good, and we're able to generate a product that we're pretty proud of. And so that's kind of our highlight as well. Just being able to lift each other up and support one another. You know, if somebody was not fully understanding what the assignment was, we took advantage of Slack and checked in with Scott, and we used our POSA several times. And so just all in all, the communication of you know, working together for the first time very, very quickly, it all came together. And like I said, we came up with a product we're pretty proud of.
Okay, thank you. I think that leaves Austin.
Hi, Vanessa and Ashley here representing for Austin Elementary. Our team talked about a highlight of just being a team and working together is how easy it has been to communicate. The idea sharing, everyone gets a chance to speak and everyone listens. The feedback has been really open to one another and constructive. It's really been seamless, just assigning and completing tasks. The follow through has been 100% for each person. Decision making in such an open-ended activity has been really actually very easy for us. We've all just been like, yes, that's our interpretation. That sounds great. Let's move forward instead of spending a lot of time going round and round on it. We all had a little bit of a fear going into it that it's like, here you are on a team of people who are trying to be administrators, like, is everybody going to try to lead? And it's just been this really cohesive, collaborative group. So we've been really impressed with each other in that way. A highlight from our in-service plan is just our slide deck in general. I mean, that was really cohesive. One person took initiative to just drop a slide into our drive, and then everyone else just started adding pieces, built upon each other's. Everyone completed their assigned tasks on time. We were able to ask questions, support one another. Ashley went and then beautified it. I mean, if you have some slide talent, it is in Ashley for making it look really amazing. And then we really liked the idea of having an exit ticket for our in-service plan, but the exit ticket will actually be like a scenario where the individual teacher would have to use the learning about ethics from the in-service presentation and show what they learned through application on an actual task. And we like that idea because we ask our students to do that all the time, but we don't often ask our adult learners to show their learning. So we often miss what other supports they need. So we think that that was a pretty big highlight of our plan.
Thank you, Vanessa. Let's move up to the high schools now. Catalyst.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. I'm Dara, and I'm representing Catalyst in the role of principal. We've got Aaron here and Tracy as well, so thank you guys for joining. A highlight from our team actually sounds pretty different from some of the other teams. Would just be that everyone embraced an asynchronous approach. And so it allowed us to ultimately craft something that like built on each other's work, but still respected everybody's schedules and different commitments and things like that. But, you know, it was challenging also to try to figure out email and Slack and the different ways to communicate in Google Docs. But we feel pretty pleased with the team working really hard to figure that out and still work together, even if it wasn't happening all, you know, in the same moment. The specific thing that we are proud of is our in-service plan. First of all, just built really well, like each piece kind of stacked and built on what other people did, and ended in an activity that asked staff members to apply each of the ethical frameworks to real school policies and practices around attendance and grading, behavior management, classroom routines, you know, school stuff. But so, for example, participants would consider the school policy around attendance or something else with a prompt like, are we putting students' needs first? How so? If not, say more. Some of those questions, but applying them to really specific elements of the school. And I think that about concludes it, but I've been really proud of how everyone's working together in the team.
Thank you. Newburgh High.
I'm representing Newburgh. My name is Hope Pearson, and I am a math teacher at Newburgh High School for this simulation, and we do not have a principal. Our principal has been heavily impacted by COVID. And so I think we also might be a smaller team, maybe from what Scott said, a late developing team. And I would echo what everybody else says. I feel like everybody on our team are professionals who survived the pandemic, and they're already naturally stepping in and working as a team. The one challenge for us, we're a high school, we've got a large staff, and we really were hoping to find some more personal or really Newburgh High School specific things so that we could personalize the in-service as we're returning hopefully to the building in person after the pandemic. And we kind of struggled to get some of those. We didn't see a Newburgh High School rep at that Newburgh High School Thursday night presentation, but who has really stepped in for us is our POSA. And Josh has been an amazing active member of our team, and he brought in a lot of details because apparently he's worked for the district before. And so I guess our big most proud of is that we have worked together as a team as we are still developing. We just got somebody added to our team last week. And so we have been able to put together a product, just like I think what everybody else is saying.
Thank you, Hope. Let's see, Deanna, do you want to take a stab for Mountain View?
Absolutely. I would say the highlight in our development process was at first trying to find the schedules to get together, and then we had new people joining in, and then trying to figure out what do we do first and where do we go and what were the new tools and things like that. Our principal, Samantha Vincent, who's getting married today, so I'm just so excited for her. She was awesome. She just brought in these documents that gave structure to us and just said, okay, this is what we're doing. Who wants to do what? You pick, you choose, and go with it. And so then we could come back and work together. We used Google Docs, we put on comments, we used Slack, we recorded videos and had lots of different Zoom movies that we would rewatch and try to bring in alternate resources and videos that were just tools to kind of help us from other outside sources. We used Doodle to schedule some of the meetings. We learned that something that would be helpful for us was even having checklists with the due dates on there. I usually use Word more, so I created a Word doc that I shared with everybody that had all of our links in one spot with the due dates to just, if anybody else needed that, it was there for everybody. And so we just made sure that we were quick and clear with the decisions and what we needed to do so we could get it done when we could, and then let everybody know every day on Slack, hey, it's done. Please take a look at this, change anything, ask questions. And that was kind of our process. So I think a highlight was when we got to have our last Zoom meeting, we were working on our plans together. There was 3 or 4 of us, not everybody could make it, but again, we recorded it. And just going through together and talking about what this year meant and how teachers really need to have times to communicate together and what each of our strengths are in ethics and in leadership, and how do we bring that strength to the school. And it doesn't have to be, you know, with a certain subject matter. It could just be being there or bringing someone, you know, coffee in the morning, or just making sure that you're being friendly and you're being present and visible to everyone when they're there and being positive. And we went through everything. We spent over 2 hours on the video and just really just got to share about life and what it's meant for us and other teachers and different examples, and completed another portion of the work. And then now we're ready to go to the next step. So I've really enjoyed that, and just making sure we're on the same page. So, and everyone's very helpful. And if they're not there, they're, well, what can I do? And they want to either see the list that's remaining, or they want to know how they can make it better, or they'll ask, hey, can I add something to this, like with a highlight with a slide? Or everybody is really just creative and flexible and helpful. So it's been very nice. It's a good team.
Okay, thank you. Well, we made it, all 10 teams, in just about the time frame that I asked for. Brilliant, just great work, folks. I'll tell you a couple of things I was looking for that I maybe didn't overtly put in the instructions for this project was engagement. Would you create a process by which your participants would be engaged? And the other one was, would you strive for application and not just understanding of the basic content? And you know, I didn't ask you to address that in particular, but I saw that in almost every plan, it, you know, hinted at, if not overtly, directly at. And those 2 concerns of mine are based on my own experience in professional development, that You know, we go to 3 full days here at the university in the fall, and I must tell you that most of it could be done on a brief email, list sent out to me, and I would just comply with the instructions. And if I want to have coffee with colleagues, I'll go have coffee with colleagues. So I'm sure some of you have experienced that as well, and you just keep hoping that it's over and it never seems to end. But I think all of you did a really fine job of thinking about those things about, what can we do to help people actually be engaged with this content? And how can we help people apply it? And I appreciated what Dara said about Catalyst. That was overtly done in a way applied to particular policies and procedures in the school, which, is very fine. So, so I kind of telegraphed the answer, but if you were me, if you were the instructor of this course, why create a project like this as a means by which you could determine if people had actually grasped the content in the text? Who wants to take a stab at answering that?
Well, I can start with just my first initial thoughts, and that was I felt like it really brought me as a learner to both my strengths and my weaknesses, just with what I know or what I need to learn, but then also going into the group dynamic and going, okay, now how do I do this on a computer, on a meeting, and understand everybody else's points of view. And so there were times where I felt like, oh, did I jump in too much? Or, oh, am I being too passive? Or, and just kind of trying to find that role, which I think is super important going into administration next year, to just calmly know that stance and going, okay, well, I do care, and I do need to still find this answer. And so it made me think about the standards of ethics and my approach and how other people perceive it and where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you, Deanna. That satisfies me, but if someone else wants to give another answer, that would be fine too. Remember that old, there is an old ethics exercise. It's got different titles with different scenarios, but it's the lifeboat, or the, you're on a raft and you can only take so many things. How are you going to decide what to take? And, and then some of the permutations is, do you have to leave people behind? It's all about decision-making, and the process that you went through itself was kind of a testing ground for examining your own values and the ethical system. So if I keep teaching this class into the future, even if I kind of downgrade the simulation, I think this assignment is a pretty valuable one. And you can let me know about that on the course evaluation at the end, what you thought about this. Okay, I think that's it on this aspect, unless someone wants to make a general comment about what we went through with the developing the in-service plan, or if not, I'll move on to the next item of business.
Scott, I hope moving forward, if you keep doing this, that we help. The greatest thing coming out of the pandemic for me and moving into administration is operating under grace. And it sounds like in this simulation, our teammates had to, because somebody got married, somebody had a baby, some people were flying out of the country. And I hope that's moving forward, we remember to operate in grace.
Great point. My doctoral class, which is a class on ethics, equity, and justice, starts on Monday. And a week from Monday is our residency, when all the doctoral students come together for a week live, either in person or on Zoom. And my faculty colleagues are pretty nervous about it, because we're doing live and Zoom, live on the ground and live on Zoom at the same time, as many of you did this year in your schools. But we haven't done that. We've only done, for the most part, asynchronous online stuff this past year. So my colleagues are really nervous. What if this bombs? And I keep telling them, this is what our student colleagues have lived through the past year. They understand the difficulties. They know the challenges. They'll extend grace to us. And I appreciate that hope. I think we have to extend grace with one another, and I hope it sticks. I really hope it sticks. All right, well, that's a great segue. Let's take a look at the school reopening. As I alluded to in the beginning, I am having a little difficulty getting my colleagues from Newburgh committed and in place.
I meant to put them in mine.
And that's why I backed off of the live meeting in Newburgh. And, you know, now I'm looking at 2 Zoom meetings on Thursday, one in the late afternoon, one in the evening, and having each team coming to one of those and dividing up the Newburgh people and having each group of Newburgh people kind of interact with 5 of your teams. This is fluid at this point, and I don't know what my plan C is going to be, but I really wanted you to get some more conversation with the people from Newburgh, especially around the work you had done. I think that would be valuable for you and for them. So I'm not giving up yet. I'm just telling you that it may modify again, but that's what we're looking at. And by mid next week, I'm going to be asking each team to pick a time slot so that, you know, at least going with that plan, you'll know when you're presenting. And again, it's not required that anyone but a representative is there, but everyone is welcome to be there. And if you want to come, you know, for all of the teams, you're more than welcome, but you're not obligated to. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I have amended the expectations about any kind of draft plans or anything, and that was in the syllabus, maybe in the original instructions in the documentation. As I put in kind of the amended guidelines for the project, this meeting tonight would serve as a kind of a touch point. There's no need to submit anything else to me unless, as many of you have done, you want me to look at something ahead of time. I'm happy to do that. But I think what you need to aim for is the Tuesday before the 15th. So I guess that's Tuesday, the 13th is when you should have your elements done to give the people from Newburgh at least a day and a half to look at them before we meet on Thursday, the 15th. If you feel like you still want to polish them up, you know, until the very last day of class for my benefit, you're more than welcome to do that, but have them in some acceptable form for the people to look at by Tuesday. I'll publish that in some kind of a memo as well that will go out in the next day or so, but you can spread the word through your teams as well, and we'll also have this recording available. So the only other thing I want to add to the instructions is I gave you some pretty limited, some heavy constraints on what you are to produce, some kind of a visual, an executive summary not to exceed, I don't remember what the word count was. Can someone tell me? Maybe it was 900 to 1500 words total.
I thought it was like 7 to 9.
Yeah, I think I upped that based on posts of people telling me there's no way that you're going to be able to get people to come in at 700 words on this. So you can have up to 1500 if you want. And then a brief process document that just one person can write it, or you can just ask everybody to just put a little, you know, brief paragraph in there reflecting on the process of creating the plan. And that doesn't have to be, you know, bare your soul type of stuff, but I'm just really interested in getting some feedback about how you went through the process. You've already shared some of that tonight on the first leg of this. I'd like to hear about the tools you used, about how you organized yourselves, what type of communication you had. If you had an impasse, you know, how was that solved? Did you see any of the ethical frameworks in play as you interacted with one another? Those are all things of great interest to me. So any of those are fair game for that process document. If you have anything else you want to share, and I don't know what that might be, it is appropriate to have an appendix to the summary, but an appendix is something that, you know, people may or may not look at, and it's certainly not going to add or detract from the value of what you've done. But if you just say, you know, so-and-so developed a great meme, you know, and we just have to share that, okay, that's fine. You can put it in as an appendix, and I'll leave that up to you to decide, but it's not necessary. But I have had several inquiries, you know, about, hey, is it okay if? And yeah, it's okay as long as you realize it's not part of the body of the document that we're actually going to ask the Newburgh people to look at especially. Okay, I'll throw it open to you if you have any questions or concerns. When will we get the group reflection? Okay, well,
The
Deanna,
learning log reflection at the, you said you wanted each group to submit one at the end of the week. It would come in direct office at Slack. I've just been watching because I had said, I'll do those, and I haven't seen one yet. And so I didn't know when that would start.
no, all I want is this process document that I just
Okay.
referred to come in at the end, which would be the week after next.
Okay, so the learning, that is the process stock. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Any other questions?
Can I just clarify, because I was a little confused? So this process document, the one you said that people could, like all the team members could add in paragraphs talking about that, is that the same thing that you also said could be the large 1,500 word document? Is
No.
different.
The
Okay.
1,500 word document is your plan, your reopening plan. And that has, if you'll recall, the amended guidelines that I gave you last week or whatever had like about 4, maybe 5 bullet points that I said, you really need to address these no matter what. And then if you've got room, you can address some of the other ones as well. That can be a narrative, it can be, you know, bullet points, however you want to organize it. And someone did ask a question, what is our assumption about what the governor and the health authority and the district is going to ask of us safety-wise at the beginning of the year? And I think you just have to assume that things are the way they are now. We can't predict what things are going to be like, you know, the first week in September. So it's all I can tell you is, you know, based on the work you've already done, no one's going to be substandard here. So just give it a shot and smile and relax, because this is like 14 points in the bank, right? You've already got 6 points in the bank. You got another 14 in the bank. If I were you, I'd make sure you got your capstone, your individual project going well. And those of you who have sent drafts into me already, I've really appreciated that, the opportunity to kind of think with you along the way, and I'm glad to do that. And I don't mean to say that's an onerous process, but don't let that creep up on you. That's, you know, literally only about 16 days away from being due. Okay, I just have 2 more questions, and then maybe you have some more. One is, not counting anyone you knew when you started the course, well, let's say not counting anyone that you worked with or knew well, is there anyone that you think you're going to continue to stay in contact with after this course? You don't need to name names. I'm just curious. Have you made a friend or a new colleague that you'll stay in touch with? Okay, there's one yes. All right. Well, that's good. That's a victory.
I had a great victory I'd share real quick. I have somebody in my group actually that I work at the same school district with. So he and I had not had a ton of interactions or experience. So it's been really great hearing his perspective as somebody who works in a different department for the same agency. So that's been great.
Yeah, that's a good story. Okay, now I want you to, thank you, Angie. I want you to go back if you can remember. I mean, it seems like a lifetime ago, but really less than 4 weeks ago, this class began. And over that weekend before the class began, some of you started reading the materials, and, you know, you started signing up for the team early in the morning, and before we knew it, those teams got pretty full up, and a couple of principal jobs got left for the last people to sign up, which was kind of a hoot if you ask me. But I want you to think back to those first couple of days and how, I'm not naming names and I'm not saying this was true across the board, but think of how distressed you were and how concerned you were and how you were wondering, what in the world is he doing to us? And I don't know these people. How are we supposed to pull this off? And how come there's so many different places to access information and this and that and then, and it was a huge, huge hill to climb. Now look at where you are less than 4 weeks later. Almost to a team, every one of you said one of the highlights of the process was just getting to interact with the people on your team. And you commented on the fact that even though these were people you didn't know before you started, you found ways of connecting and you learned to trust one another, and everyone did good work and you covered for others when they couldn't be there, and so forth and so on. It's a pretty remarkable thing, and maybe it's a testimony to the spirit and the can-do-itedness and the patience and the grace that, educators have as a kind of a general rule. That's maybe how we're built. But maybe it's also because many of you are looking forward to a leadership type role in the future, or already in one, and you realize that you've seen examples where things have gone south really fast because people were unwilling to extend grace or unwilling to find new ways or to be creative or to be patient. So I commend you. It's really a remarkable journey you've been on. And it's almost over. And some of you are taking multiple courses, and 2 weeks from now, you're going to be able to breathe a sigh of relief and say, I made it. I made it through the summer of stress and working full time and going to grad school full time and trying to keep my family at bay or whatever it is, or trying to actually see my family during all of this. And hopefully you're going to have a little downtime for you, maybe just for you for a couple of days when this is all over, so you can go someplace and hide and get refreshed a little bit. So I appreciate the work you've done, and I appreciate you. And I wish we were all in a big room together so I could go around and look each of you in the eye and say, well done. But this is kind of the best I can do, is to do it on Zoom. Okay, I think Amber was having a party over at her place. All right, any other, one other announcement. I updated the module or session 4 instructions. If you've looked at them before, make sure you go in and look at them. There will be kind of a modification to the learning log for next week, not this one that's due this weekend, but next week. I'm asking you to actually complete a form. I'm asking for some information as opposed to doing a learning log. If you do the form, you will get 10 points. I'm not assessing it. So just go in and give me some information there. And okay, well, Deanna, I'm going to go in and add about 18 more questions then if you're telling me I didn't make it lengthy enough. Yeah, it's just, I'm just kind of curious about a couple of things about kind of your thinking and your perceptions about ethics and so forth. And yeah, it's a quick assignment. And even though, you could actually do it any time, but you might want to wait until you're done with this week's learning log before you do that. And I think that's it. So any questions?
No question here, but it certainly took me more than 2 minutes because I've been considering so many questions that you've presented during this experience. And I just wanted to say thank you. I hope you know how this team, this cohort has really appreciated your presence, your humanity during all of this, your sharing of not only the expectations, but also just your patience, your guidance, your real genuine spirit through this, Scott. And I just feel very appreciative to have entered into this admin program with this initial coursework being under your leadership and your guidance. And it's been real special, and I appreciate it a lot.
Well, thanks, Aaron. I am kind of an oddball, so you may not get this experience in other courses, but I'm glad that you had a chance to take a class with me. And just for you, Aaron, I've got something here. You may be the only one in the group that's going to recognize this, but okay. Okay, so maybe if you want to find out who that is, you'll have to ask Aaron. He can tell you. All right, folks, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And if you haven't eaten yet, it's not too late. And don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need some help on the capstone. That's what you're paying me for, to help you be as good as you can be, okay? So blessings to you. Have a good evening, and I'll see you around in the course. And once I get the details worked out with the Newburgh people, I'll let you know, and we'll get those presentations scheduled. Take care and good evening.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep, good night.